Hi everybody, it's Laura. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I have a layout that I made for the Stretch the Sketch Hop. In Stretch the Sketch, we take a sketch that is created for a 12 by 12 inch layout and we either stretch it to a larger format or we shrink it to a smaller one. As I've been doing for quite a while now, I'm going to be shrinking this sketch to make a layout for my 6 by 8 inch album. The page, though, measures a little bit more than 6 by 8 inch. It does fit into the page protector. It measures 6 1/4 by 8.5 inches. The sketch is from Stampin' and Crafting with Cheryl Diana, but it also says on it that it was created for the Scrapbooking Global Blog Hop from August of 2023. This sketch has a strip going down the center, and then there are two photos, one on each side of the layout. And although I do make a number of changes just because I'm shrinking the sketch so much, I feel like I do follow this sketch pretty closely. I'm making a school-themed layout, so I have a variety of different school-themed pattern papers. The black paper that's going to go in the background, that's pretty cool. It has some embossed writing on it. It looks like those strips of letters that you see hanging over the blackboard in elementary schools, or at least at one point they were. I could have just used a piece of black cardstock since you really can't see the letters on my layout. But I have so many school-themed pattern papers, and both of my daughters are long out of school, so I wasn't really worried about using up paper. On top of the black paper, I layered a piece of red school-themed paper. Oh, and the black paper is from Coordinations. It's called Nightfall Cursive. The red paper is from Adorn. It's called Elementary Words. Then the paper that I have at the top, that's from Graphic 45. That's from an ABC primer collection. For the alphabet strip going down the center, that's a scrap that I had in my school paper stash. I'm not sure the manufacturer of that. And then behind that, I use a small strip of paper from the Basic Gray Recess collection. There were some book plates that were from that same pattern paper that I cut the center strip from. I decided to layer those behind my two photos. I'm also going to use this piece of blue paper. That was also school themed, but I really just wanted to use it for the color. A lot of these papers that I'm using, I could have used solids for them, but I have so many school themed papers and my daughters have been out of school for quite a while now. Well, out of elementary and high school for quite a while now. So I feel like I can just use them up and not really worry too much that I'm going to need them in the future. And if I'm scrapping for grandchildren one day, I'll just buy myself some new papers. I attach that center strip down. I'm using my T-square to first make sure that I have the strip in the center and then make sure that it's going straight up and down the page. This page is about me being a student, how I've been a student for many, many years from my first day of kindergarten a long time ago. That's the picture I'm going to put on the left. And then a photo of me with a certification that I recently received. I'm a teacher and I got a certification through a grant in teaching English as a new language, and I'm holding up a certificate in front of my school, the College of New Rochelle, which sadly closed right after I finished my certification program, which is really sad. It was the first women's college in New York, and it was a really nice place. I'm sad that it shut down. There was a tab on the journaling part of the sketch. I decided, though, that I wanted to include tabs, but I'm going to put one on each photo. I think these tabs are from a Basic Gray collection. I'm not sure if it was from the Recess collection or another collection, but I thought that they matched in really well with the color scheme, and I wanted to write the approximate dates anyway of both of these photos. I cut the tabs a little bit so I could place them on opposite sides of the two photos. Now that I have the background done and the photos attached down, I can start embellishing. There was a typewriter on a small pattern paper that I had in my stash. Again, I don't know the manufacturer, but I'm going to use that on the layout. I had fussy cut that out earlier. And then I'm also using these really old Fancy Pants rub-ons. They're from a collection called All Fall. For the lower left-hand corner, I cut out the corner of a frame. I'm using this scraper tool that I usually use to clean up with to press down on the rub-on, and it worked pretty well. It was funny because later on I realized there was a popsicle stick inside the rub-ons that I could have used. It probably would have been a little bit easier. And then for the upper right-hand corner, I cut out this swirl from that same rub-on sheets. I thought that this was really cool. And this transferred fairly well. I didn't get all the little bits, so I had to put the sheet back down again and then rub again to get all the little pieces. I should have checked that more carefully before I pulled it off of the background. But because that pattern paper behind the rub-on is so busy, you don't see any of the little imperfections in how I applied the rub-on. I placed the typewriter right below the rub-on on the upper right-hand side, and I'm happy with the way that looks, so I go ahead and attach that down. And then in the lower right-hand corner where I put that white corner of the frame, I thought it just looked a little bit too white, like it was too large of an area of just white. So I decided to use this rub-on that says ABC and layer that on top of the other rub-on, and I think it helped to break it up a little bit. I wanted to include a detail along the center strip. I used an EK Success scallop punch. This is kind of a larger scallop punch. And then I punched out this border from a piece of paper that my daughter handmade. She has been making some really beautiful papers out of our recyclables. So I decided to include that. A lot of it gets covered up. I didn't know that was going to happen at this point, but I thought it was a nice little addition to that center strip, and it matches the sketch. I forgot to mention earlier that I'm inking the edges of all of the elements on the layout, or most of them anyway, with Distress ink in black soot. And I use it once again to ink the edges of these photo corners that I punched out using an EK Success scalloped photo corner punch. I punched these out of a piece of black and off-white paper that was actually the same paper as the strip that I have going down the center of the page. That's on the other side. Since I have the ABC in the lower left-hand corner, which is brown, reddish brown, and yellowish, I decided that I was going to add some color to the swirl on the top right-hand side of the page. There were some rub-ons that were different color flowers. So here I'm adding a reddish brown and a yellowish one, and then later on I'm going to add a little brown flower too. And here you could see that I finally discovered that there was a popsicle stick in that bag of rub-ons, so I used that to apply the rub-ons this time instead of using the scraper. Now I'm going to begin working on my title. I found this handwriting strip in my stash of school supplies, so I decided this would be a good place to put some letters. I found these basic gray off-white letters. They don't fit on the lines perfectly, but I thought that it was a close enough match. So I'm calling this layout Always a Student. If you've been following me for a while, I'm sorry you have heard all of this before, but I'm making 2 albums, one for my older daughter, one for my younger daughter. The album is all about me and my life, just so that they have a record of things that I did and my history. I would love to have something like this for my mother or my father, so I thought that it would be a good thing for them to have in the future. There's going to be a lot of journaling in this album, and the whole album is based on a class that I took with Janet Fritz of Galaxy Girl Creations called Impactful Storytelling that I took quite a while ago now, but I'm still working on the albums for. On the sketch, there's a circular embellishment on the center strip between the 2 photos. I wanted to include that, and I decided to use this little Post-it that I had. I think they were basic gray Post-its. I don't remember Basic Gray having Post-its, but I did have this in my stash. And so I used the circle, and then I put a piece of pattern paper, also from Basic Gray, in the center. And then I use a piece of that same black paper I used for the photo corners to mat both of those circles on. Now I'm moving the photos to the side a little bit so that there would be enough room for that circle. I also like the way moving the photos a little bit allowed you to see the letters on that center strip. Now I'm attaching down my title. Don't forget to check out all the other Stretch the Sketch videos. The direct links to those videos are in the description box. You'll see a number of scrapbookers making their layouts based on this same sketch. I think you'll really enjoy them. I use my Creative Memories circle cutter to cut out a piece of thick white cardstock so I could mount all of those layers of the embellishment that I'm making on. I'm popping it up on some foam. I'm using some fun foam, and here I'm cutting it down to size so that you won't be able to see the foam from the front. Because this embellishment is already going to be resting on the two photos, it's already going to have a little bit of height, so this foam is just helping to support the embellishment on the places where there are no photos. Now I'm using a thin black magic marker to write the dates, giving you a little bit too much information about how old I am. You can see my paper there where I was trying to figure out exactly when I started school after moving to this area. And then I had found a brown rub-on flower, and I thought that that would finish off the flowers in the upper right-hand corner. Then I'd have all the same colors that were in the lower left-hand corner. This die cut is from the Basic Gray Recess collection. I thought it was perfect for this layout. We have the mom and the daughter, and then I have my photos of me when I was little and when I was a grown-up. Even though it has some blue on it that's not in the rest of the layout, I thought it was perfect. And then I also added some white enamel dots to two of the photo corners. Then I finished the layout off with a puffy sticker from the Dollar Tree. That's a pen. And this layout is complete. And here are a couple of close-ups. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed watching. Please don't forget to check out all of the other Stretch the Sketch videos. Once again, the links to those videos are in the description box. I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope you find some creative time soon, and I hope to see you again. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.